Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an exciting Sandbox podcast brought to you by Openly Beta. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jamie.
Oh, you did it. We didn't even plan that, everyone.
Wow.
Wow. So we're going to be talking about games, movies, alcohol, and the likes. Jamie, why don't you start us off by telling us what you're going to be drinking today?
So today I'm drinking Arabella.
Ooh.
It's a wine.
Does she mind?
I think you'll know exactly who I sent a picture of the wine to as soon as I found it.
Was it our friend of the same name by any chance?
Oh yeah. I
Featured
can't even remember.
in Minecraft server tools
I can't actually
and
remember
the
if she
upcoming
replied.
Slavario video.
Oh, sorry, I completely overtalked you. Then, do you want to say that again?
That's fine. Oh, I just said featured in Minecraft server tours and the upcoming Slavario video.
Hey.
You can carry on.
I think the last 3 messages that I've sent her have just been pictures of things that have Arabella on. So
Yeah,
that's that.
it's fun stuff.
It's really good.
What
though.
kind of wine is it?
It's a red wine, and I opened it yesterday, so I put it in the fridge last night. So I'm drinking it cold. So it kind of gives me that sangria vibes, because you're not meant to have red wine cold, but sangria you can. It's the law.
Well, it's a hot life at the moment, so why not?
Possibly describe to you anything to do with the tasting notes of wine, but I will say that it is 13.5%, and it is actually pretty bloody good wine.
How would you know that, Jamie? You're no connoisseur.
I bought this from Naked Wines, the website,
Fair?
and we got a £75 off voucher. It was pretty
That is
intense.
not too shabby, man.
They give them out quite often. We just
Willingly.
received it in the post, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And now you're wasting it on Sandbox.
Wasting it on Sandbox. What are you drinking?
We should get my girlfriend's dad on. He is an absolute wine connoisseur. I am drinking amaretto and Coke, but the
nice.
Coke is
delicious.
Sainsbury's own Coke. But gotta love amaretto. So it's very delicious. It's almondy, bit of liquid marzipan, and I love it. It's probably my favorite drink.
That's probably one of my favorite drinks just to have neat. It's so I can't stop drinking it. I get very drunk on it very quickly.
Bit of ice, little glass, delicious. Can't go wrong.
I'm just picturing your girlfriend's dad being invited on Sandbox, where it's oh yeah, we talk about wine and beer and all that, and he's oh yeah, and he gets on. There's 5 minutes of of talking about what we're drinking. And it's right, so Mr. Dad, what is your opinion on E3 this year? What are you excited for?
The day he finds out about Openly Beta is the day I flee the country.
He doesn't know about Openly Beta.
Oh, he doesn't know about Openly Beta.
He doesn't.
I'm sure he'd be pleasantly surprised by my side gig and our loyal following. Right, Jamie, shall we get Roy into the news?
Do you want to go first?
Go on then. I don't really have news, but I've got games that have released.
Go for it then.
So, I'm gonna start with Jamie's favourite section. It's called remasters.
Yahoo!
Jamie loves a remaster.
As long as they're the definitive edition.
The what?
Go for it. I'm sorry. I should have interrupted you. I was being silly.
That's fine. I was just intrigued by if you predicted what I was going to say, but I don't think you did. So we just missed out on this last week, but Saints Row the Third remastered.
Yes.
It is actually a remaster.
It's actually pretty awesome, yeah.
Are you happy to hear that it's actually a remaster? They didn't use the word remaster and then make something that's anything but a remaster.
Yeah, but it's not like a remaster in the crap way. It's it's a remaster in they actually put effort in.
It's a surprisingly good remaster. When I heard that, I thought, that's going to be rubbish. That's going to be a cash grab. Apparently not. It's got I'm gonna just read directly off of this, copy and paste it right here. It's got carefully updated, more detail-rich artwork, a totally revamped lighting model, a switch to physically based rendering, temporal anti-aliasing,
Whoa. That's a...
upscaling, and a profound improvement in performance.
Huh.
It can even play at 60 frames per second on an Xbox One X.
You would
You
bloody
aren't going
hope
to get
so,
much
wouldn't
better
you?
than this. Yeah.
No, it actually looks really good, yeah.
And I used to love Saints Row the Third. That was a game I used to play frequently with a friend of mine at school online, and we had absolutely amazing times on it. It was a lot of fun.
Never played
Really
it.
stupid game. Oh, it's so stupid. It's one of those games where I'm pretty sure my parents were like, "Oh no, you're too young for Grand Theft Auto. Have this like
You're right.
silly knockoff version." Little did they know,
Yeah.
it's far worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it gets insanely stupid and off the rails, but I like it a lot. It's fun.
My mum, it's really interesting how GTA has this huge bad reputation amongst parents these days who generally people who don't play games, and it's like people who don't play games tell the people who don't play games, oh, GTA is the boogeyman. And it definitely, you shouldn't play it. Like if you're a kid, for sure. I'm not suggesting that it's...
Kids play it too young, I think, but yeah.
I'm not suggesting that you should play it as a kid, but it's really interesting because anything else seems to be game. My mum was like, Joe's really interested in getting Red Dead Redemption 2. It looks alright. What do you think? Like, no. What?
No.
Like, it's like I said, this is a like super gritty, realistic cowboy game where you play as the bad guy doing horrible things to people, often good people. And it's made by the people who made GTA as well.
Not the one.
And it's like, oh god.
Never mind. Yeah, we should have a show where we tell parents what games their kids can play. Yeah, for me, I think as a kid it was Heavy Rain and Grand Theft Auto were the two games that were off the table.
Heavy Rain's a weird one.
It was because who was it? It was like a cousin or someone had a bad experience with it. My mum was like, nope.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite specific and personal. But I mean, there are other things like Call of Duty. I had to wait a while till I was allowed it, but I was allowed it before I was 18, obviously. Destroy All Humans, I think I had to do a bit of wearing down, but then she decided it looked cartoony enough that it was fine. Stuff like that.
I was pretty lucky, really, because my mum. I managed to convince her to let me play Call of Duty in like year 8, I think, because she said
it's about the same.
As long as you can't, she said, as long as you don't play the campaign, which
because
obviously
the terrorist mission.
She would never have known anyway, so I did, but because of the terrorist mission, yeah.
Yeah, I think I said that I skipped it and then I didn't.
Yeah, exactly what I did. But also that kind of opened the floodgates to other games, because it got to the point where due to my parents being split,
oh no! You didn't use that against them, did you?
There was not at all.
Like, well, Dad lets me play Call of Duty.
No, not at all. It was just simply my dad let me play all these games and watch all these like gory movies, and it got to the point where I was like, "Mum, I'm not being funny." Right, obviously, I didn't say it like that because I was a child, right? But
8-year-old Jamie.
But
Mum, I'm not having a laugh here.
I'm not having a laugh, Mum. No, but it was something like that, and I was like, I've played all these games now. You might as well just let me have them at this point. So that was what did it for me.
Yeah, I feel like my parents were pretty perfectly balanced. The leniency to non-leniency, whatever I'm trying to say.
But not divorced.
They had pretty good judgment. Yeah. Next bit of news. Past that. BioShock the collection.
On Switch, right?
On Switch, released tomorrow if you're listening to this on Spotify, and last Friday if you're watching us on YouTube.
And also Borderlands the collection at the same time, I think.
Oh really? I didn't actually know that.
I think they're both both published by Take-Two, I think. Not Take-Two, 2K.
Yes, they are, and 2K doing a few, so I think that makes sense. Yeah, this looks good. I mean, it apparently runs very well, and it's all 3 games on Switch, so sure. But the thing that I'm most excited about is it's £40 for all 3 games plus all single player DLC.
I mean,
Is
yeah.
is there multiplayer? It specifies single player DLC, but I don't think any Bioshock game has multiplayer.
I bet you in like Bioshock 2, which was at the height of like adding on
There's some
random
little
multiplayer modes.
mode. Yeah, there probably is, in fairness. I never owned Bioshock 2, so yeah. Yeah, I'm actually considering getting it, because I haven't played the first 2 Bioshock games in ages, and I love Infinite, and I don't know, playing it mobile kind of appeals to me. And I just really appreciate the price point. That's not very Nintendo of them.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, it's kind of like that's just the correct pricing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I think it should be.
Yeah.
I think any lower would be reasonable, any higher would be pretty unacceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Cool.
My final tidbit of news. Actually, I'll give you one more tiny tidbit after this. Minecraft Dungeons released yesterday for us.
Yeah.
26th of May for our listeners or viewers. And it's apparently good. So that looks pretty cool. It actually looks pretty fun. It looks like a just a lighter take on, Diablo sort of thing. Yeah, I always find Minecraft spin-offs kind of pointless. Like Minecraft Story Mode. Oh, in fact, that's the only example I have. Because why wouldn't I just want to play Minecraft where I can do whatever I want? If I'm going to play a story mode of a game, I'd rather it be set in a more compelling world than Minecraft, which has no real lore. But Minecraft Dungeons looks cool.
Yeah, I had that opinion with story mode. I was like, that just sounds awful.
I think that was just not a very well-made game, or at least pretty badly written, which is obviously a problem. But yeah.
I mean, I had no interest in the story of Minecraft because, like you said, there is no story. But a Diablo-esque game, that sounds a lot more appealing, for sure.
It does look cool. It looks like it'd be good for a completionist like me. It looks like there's a lot of collecting in secret areas and stuff. Yeah, I think it does look good. Minecraft's got a very appealing aesthetic somehow. I think it's just because it's become so iconic. So it is quite fun to see a dungeon crawler where, I don't know, it's just fun to see Minecraft blocks with like realistic physics and stuff. It's just quite appealing to look at.
Yeah.
And I think Minecraft does kind of have a dungeon crawler feel to it sometimes when you're going mining. So I think there's already some sort of connection there in my brain.
Yeah.
It looks good. And the tiny news, do you want to hear it, Jamie?
Go on then.
Tabs, otherwise known as Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, has just unveiled the Wild West update.
I saw that. Yeah, that looks so good.
I thought you'd love that. It looks hilarious as always. It looks really fun.
I keep forgetting to play Tabs. I love Tabs.
Yeah, we should play it again. It's got guys dressed as cacti, which just look hilarious and really OP. Like they tank everything. It's got some like Calamity Jane, like cowboy women who like throw dynamite and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some kind of mining prospectors who do massive area of attack damage with pickaxes. It's got these bank vault guys where there's 2 guys holding the bank vault and they just lob it, and then like money explodes out of it and does loads of damage. And then it's got these like gunslinger guys, which are my absolute favourites. They dual wield guns, so they've got 2 guns in each hand, so they're holding 4 pistols, and they just shoot at the sky rapidly, and then the bullets rain down on your units, and there's no way of defending against it. Like samurai can't deflect because it comes from above, and then they just like spin all 4 guns really fast to reload, and then just do it again. Like it's stupid. Yeah,
like the Wild West used to be.
Just like the Wild West, just like Red Dead Redemption 2. There's probably more units, but yeah, it looks really fun and funny. And that's my final tidbit. Over
So
to you.
well, I've actually got 4 things for you now. I've added 2 things onto
Ooh.
my list actually because I've
For
forgotten some
each.
stuff. The
Go
first
for it.
one, I'm gonna just throw it out right now. We shouldn't talk
Mm.
about it because it's not game related.
Okay.
But we were talking about this before we started filming.
Yeah.
Elon Musk and NASA, so SpaceX and NASA,
Yep.
launching. It's called like Dragon Crew or something,
Mm.
up into space, and it's the first manned SpaceX mission. It just got cancelled. Like
What, just now?
just now, yeah.
We were talking about it 20 minutes ago and it got cancelled already.
I had the I've had the stream on in the background just because I wanted to check it out. Got cancelled.
Oh,
Just now.
Elon.
It's because of weather conditions. Apparently, there was a 40% chance that it wasn't going to happen, and lo and behold, it didn't.
Oh yeah, they said they're rescheduled into Saturday at 3:22 p.m.
I'm definitely going to watch that.
It would be much more ironic if it got cancelled because one of them got coronavirus.
On the actual shuttle itself.
Slide
God.
whistle.
Can you imagine if one of them had coronavirus and they didn't know, and they just went up to the International Space Station? It's like, well,
It would be ideal with
space
it.
is infected now.
They just got to self-isolate outside.
Outside, yeah, it's the most
Tom Cruise.
best isolation ever. Right, moving on.
Moving on swiftly.
There was one more remaster announced that you didn't include.
Missed. Yeah.
Now, you might not necessarily missed it because I truly can't remember whether this was last week or this week.
It's also just been cancelled.
It's it's Mafia 1, 2, and 3,
Ooh.
and this is a real gear grinder. It's almost like they watched Sandbox and they listened to me moan about remasters,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Hey, we can make this so much more complicated. Let's do that."
Yeah.
So get ready for this. They don't all come out at the same time. I believe you can buy them all in one package, but you can't play them all because they're not all out yet. I believe.
Interesting.
So, okay, here's how it is. So, Mafia 3 came out like 2 years ago on current gen consoles.
Yeah.
So you can't remaster it. It's on the same
Yeah.
console, right? So
Yeah.
they're not calling it. It's not. I think all 3 of them as a bundle is called the Mafia Definitive Collection or something, right?
Yeah. Definitive edition.
So that's that. That's the first layer of complication. Complication 2: Mafia 3 isn't called a remaster because, of course, it's on PS4 already. It's not called a remake, for obvious reasons. It's called a reintroduction.
Well, at least they're not wrongly using the word remaster, like your pet peeve.
So they're literally just saying it's just Mafia 3. It's just Mafia 3.
That's really funny. They should
And-
call it Mafia 3: again.
It's like they're not changing. They if they're changing anything, it'll be like minor UI things only. It's literally the same game again.
So, Jamie, you've missed out the best part of this, unless you're about to go on to the best part.
I'm probably going to.
Is it to do with Mafia still?
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Mafia 2
Yeah.
is a remaster
Yeah.
in the more like kind of the
Traditional sense.
usually
Of the word.
shitty sense.
Yeah.
Mafia 1 is a remake.
It's everything in one big package.
What an absolute complete mess of a message.
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, at least they're calling it Definitive Edition and not like Mafia
So
Remastered.
we've got Definitive Edition, Remastered, Remake, and now a new contender, reintroduced.
Do you think they're going to start doing that with all games? They're just going to re-release games that came out a year ago.
They're already doing that.
Reintroduced at the end.
They're already doing that. It's called Game of the Year Edition.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Jamie, another tidbit that you did actually still miss
Okay.
is that the Mafia 2 remaster is being released first
I was
because it's
I was actually
ready.
about to say that. Yeah.
The Mafia remake isn't ready,
Nope.
so the Mafia 1 remake is coming out after the Mafia 2 remaster,
Yeah.
and then they're doing Mafia 3 because it's just come out too recently anyway.
I don't know how you can actually possibly. You can't get excited about that. Like, man, I don't get it.
They're literally doing it Star Wars style. They're doing the second one first,
Yeah.
then the first one, then the third one.
I don't. It's really confusing because that's just messy. I hate it. We're gonna move on.
Just
from
remastered the first one for
that.
now.
I freaking hate it, and we're gonna move on. So, the
I
next
get too
thing.
furious.
This is. It's about Xenoblade Chronicles. All right, I'm gonna just throw that out there.
All right, it's
And,
about Xenoblade Chronicles.
It's a small thing, I guess. Does it warrant a conversation? Maybe. Who knows? But there's a lot of hoo-ha because someone dug into the config files of the game and they found out what the resolution was. Has a dynamic resolution, like most games do these days.
Yeah.
So it has the exact same profile as Xenoblade Chronicles 2, meaning the lowest resolution it can go to is 376p. The highest it can go to in handheld mode is 504p.
It's not the highest P in the world.
And in docked, the minimum is like 560p and the maximum is 720. And so it begs the question. Firstly, they definitely cocked it up for sure.
Yeah.
The Wii version ran at 480p.
Yeah.
Now, the game looks better, right? It looks a lot better than the Wii version.
Yeah.
But in an interview, it's basically, hey, you know how we love our remaster stuff again. It's like a remaster 1.5. It's somewhere between remaster and remake, in that they redid a lot of models, but it is still the same game, because if you run it side by side, it is identical. So it's like more a remaster than a remake.
Yeah.
376p, man.
It's not the best, James.
A lot of people were
It's
defending
pretty small
this
P's.
and being like, the main reason I'm bringing this up, a lot of people on the internet were defending it and being like, oh, resolution isn't everything. What were we expecting? 4K 60 on a handheld? Don't be ridiculous.
No, I was expecting the bare minimum.
It's like no one's saying that, right? But someone on that thread pointed out, it's like, yeah, but where do you draw the line? Is like 144p at 10 frames per second acceptable?
Literally, I was gonna say, yeah.
And
it's just kind of like, if the system can do better, why not try for better?
the frustrating thing is that they looked into it and there's actually a really easy fix to it as well. And they basically they didn't turn up some frequency clock. I don't want to go into that though. The main thing is, I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
They didn't drag the resolution button slightly higher.
It's actually kind of exactly what they did though. But
there's a slider that says resolution. They had it on low.
No, the Switch.
There's your problem.
Well, it basically is that though. The Switch has different profiles for the frequency of the GPU clock, and they had it. That's currently on the same setting as you would do for a 2D indie game. So yeah, they're gonna have. It's gonna look shit, but I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and some people said, "Oh, in the action, in the moment, you don't notice it." I'm telling you now, this is Sandbox official. Yes, you can freaking tell when it goes to 376p. My God, it looks
Yeah.
utterly horrible. Like, it was so depressing. Like, it doesn't happen that often, but it always happens at the worst times when it's like, all right, guys, I've built up my ultimate combo move. This is sick. This is gonna.
Something
I
epic is
can't
gonna happen.
actually see what's going on now. Okay, well.
Yeah, I mean that's noticeable. Like that's not. It's not like slightly lower. That's pretty unacceptable in this day and age.
It's lower than standard it's sub
yeah.
SD. Like what the? That's not okay.
It's defined definitively. Definitive edition. It's definitively poor resolution.
I had to say that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna move on from that. I had to get that out of my system.
Let's do it.
This is one that I
That's
want.
okay.
I want to. Tenet had a second trailer. What do you think of it?
Oh, it did have a second trailer. It looks good. I will watch anything with Robert Pattinson in it, and it's got Oh, I'm gonna kick myself for forgetting his name. John David Washington, the guy from BlacKkKlansman. John David Washington.
Jack's showing off his skills again.
Yeah, none of this really is new to this trailer. I'm just naming who's in it. But I also liked him in BlacKkKlansman, and he looks like he'll be good in this. It's also got Clemence Pulsey from the TV show Tunnel, which was pretty fun. Oh, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson's in it. I didn't notice that. Interesting. Yeah, it looks good. It looks trippy. It looks very Inception-y set pieces. And the fight choreography looks far better than other Christopher Nolan films, which is where he usually falls flat because he insists on directing everything himself, even if it's a weak point for him. So hopefully that's good. It looks like it will be good.
I didn't actually I didn't know that he did that. It makes sense.
What, that he directs everything? Yeah,
it makes sense about the fight scenes.
Often considered the weakest part of the Dark Knight franchise is any fight scene, because it's like, Batman's not that good at fighting.
He's just a bit of a brawler. The one that springs to mind is when he goes up against Bane.
That's exactly the one people mention. He's really slow.
Yeah.
And bulky and like just looks kind of out of breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this looks like potentially an improvement on that, which is exciting. And yeah, it looks ridiculously trippy, like all Nolan films.
Yes.
I think either John David Washington or Robert Pattinson, I think it was Robert Pattinson, said that like none of the cast understood the script for a long time. Which is pretty great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I do love a bit of Nolan, bit of a Christopher Nolan fanboy ass.
So,
hit me.
That's all I've got for news. You're done with news. So you know what that means.
You know what that means, James?
It's time for an advert that we might have, or probably won't have, for this particular episode. So enjoy the advert if there is one. Tell me, Jack. I watched a series last week.
Oh.
And I'm desperate to talk to you about it. But if you got something on your chest that you want to talk about first, please do.
Talk to me about your series first, because your son's much more desperate.
I've actually not told you about this so that I can talk to you in this podcast, okay?
That's what we do now. It's only business.
So this is the shittest name. One of the worst sounding shows I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
But man, it's good. It's called Devs. Have you heard of Devs?
It rings a bell.
I'm amazed.
No, it doesn't ring a bell. I haven't heard of this.
So,
it's got Nick Offerman in it. I love Nick Offerman.
Devs is about, and it does go off crazy levels, to crazy places. Sorry, pardon me. Oh,
Oh, yawning, are you? Are we boring you?
it was like a yawn and a burp at the same time, that one. So it's cool. It takes place in the near future, at least. That's the assumption. It doesn't actually say. And it takes place in like a very trendy tech company, like a very modern tech company in San Francisco. You know,
Silicon Valley. That
Silicon
sort of
Valley.
thing, yeah.
And they're a quantum computer tech company.
Ooh.
And this is basically it's set in the future, so that quantum computers are now a thing. Like it's not like it's not bleeding edge. There's quite, you know, it's not consumers don't have it yet, but there's a lot of competing quantum computer tech companies, and they use it for like encryption and, you know, lots of things. They have different departments. And there's one of the characters that we're following gets a promotion and he becomes a dev. He works in the devs building, which is basically a really super duper 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 top secret building in I think the company's called Amaya, and even the government aren't allowed, like he will not let anyone in there. It is top secret. And it's about what is in that room. It's about what they're working on, and it's really really good. And it's like
it looks good. I'm reading the synopsis and it sounds very good.
It's mind blowing. Although it's like, you can tell it's one of those kind of like you don't know what sort of budget it is, because it's obviously low budget, but they've done a bloody amazing job with the money they've got, basically, sort of thing. So it has that kind of vibe, but it's kind of it's profound, I think is the word. It's an incredibly profound show, and you at the end of each episode it kind of changes everything. Like each time you're like, oh, ooh,
like
I did not see that coming. Pretty much every episode.
That's pretty hype.
Yeah, it's pretty much mind blowing. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I can't.
It does sound very interesting, very conspiracy thrillery sort of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because although there are elements of it being a conspiracy thriller, I wouldn't say it's a conspiracy thriller at all. I would say it's more. It's like heavy sci-fi, really.
Interesting.
Definitely makes you think, and it makes you quite uncomfortable. It's good. It's really good. It's really frustrating. I really want you to watch it now because I want to. I want to like.
It looks interesting.
Get your opinion on it. But completely. I'd never heard of it before, particularly. Can't help but think that part of that is because of the absolutely terrible name of the show.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a comedy based on devs. I don't know why.
Devs? Like, that's just... ugh.
Interesting. One of the executive producers is also Alex Garland, who directed Ex Machina and Annihilation. It feels very up his street.
I read a little thing about that after I watched the show, and Ex Machina and devs are actually quite closely linked.
Oh yeah? As in like in universe sort of thing?
Thematically, I don't think he doesn't say that they're in the same universe, but obviously the nature of Ex Machina, it's kind of like it really could be in any universe. It's not. It's quite
Yeah,
confined, isn't it?
yeah. Oh yeah, and Alex Garland also directs and writes every episode. I like that. Then it's kind of one guy's vision that can often go in its favor.
So I truly, truly recommend that.
Yeah, I think I will look into that. I love a bit of Nick Offerman, and him being in a more serious role could be cool.
I think he's brilliant. Actually, I think he
Yeah,
nails his character in this show. Yeah,
he's great in Parks and Rec. You should definitely watch that.
I should. That's all I know him from.
Yeah, and like We're the Millers. He was in
Oh
Bad
yeah,
Times at the El Royale extremely briefly at the beginning, little cameo.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, good times. Well, add that to the list.
What do
I
you?
say. What have I been watching?
Yeah.
I've got a weird one that I'm going to
Ooh.
talk about. It's reality television. Bit new for us. It's a show called SAS Who Dares Wins. So my mum watches this and she's been trying to get me to watch it, saying it's great and stuff, and I'm just like, can't be asked. But I watched literally only the last episode of the recent series, which was a celebrity series,
Okay.
and it was far better than I was expecting it to be. It was actually really, really great. The final episode, so they do all different stuff. Do you know the rough synopsis of the show? It's 5 actual SAS guys
Right.
basically run normal people through like boot camp and do all different SAS related training and tasks.
Mhm.
And then at the end they say if they would actually let anyone in. They gradually remove people
Oh,
throughout
wow.
the show. And at the end they might not let anyone in. They might say none of you are good enough and just send everyone home. Or they might say to a few people, you'd all be good enough, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there was quite a few celebrities. There was the guy from Rudimental, whose name I forget. Joey Essex, Paralympian. What was her name? I've actually got it here. Lauren Steadman. Some like Corrie stars, presenters. Apparently, Katie Price was in at the beginning and left immediately,
Interesting.
which is very interesting. So yeah, the episode I saw was basically torture training. It's what to do if you get captured by the enemy, and it was hilariously intense. I cannot believe how far they went. Obviously, there's always elements of it is reality TV.
Yeah.
You don't know how much of it is actually real, but it heavily gives you the impression that they've been awake for like 23 hours, just blaring horrible noises and music through earphones. They've barely had anything to eat, and they've just given them like a tiny amount of water to drink.
Whoa.
And they're just like psychologically torturing them, like just yelling at them and stuff. There's a bit near the end where they're standing outside shivering, like they're so cold, and they're just spraying them, blasting them with freezing cold water, and just shouting them, calling them awful names that I'm not even going to repeat on here. And like you can see that they're really cold, like they're not acting.
Whoa.
Most of them aren't actors, and it's just like this is intense. It's crazy. And they've given them like a fake cover story, and they're saying like the point is they have to reveal their story at some point. They've just got to know when to do it.
What do you mean?
And so at the beginning they've got to not reveal their story. Obviously, you don't want to tell the enemy
Yeah.
your story, but it gets to a point where they know enough that they know that they're all lying, and they need to reveal their stories. And if they don't, they kick them out of the show and say you would have been killed, basically.
Whoa. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's insane. Joey Essex just doesn't really get it. He just doesn't say a single thing. And they're like, we obviously know you're lying. These other people have told us things, so you need to tell us more information. And he just won't say anything. And they're like getting right up in his face, calling him horrible names and stuff. And in the end, he just walks out because he's like, I've had enough of this. And then obviously they like kick him off the show, like, oh, you did good, blah, blah, blah. But he's sitting there like really tense, like shaking. He's so angry. He's really trying not to hit anyone. And they're like, calm down, breathe, calm down. And he's just so angry. And then like they have the
Whoa.
little talk about him leaving, blah blah blah, and he walks off, and then he just starts like he just bursts into tears, and it's like, oh my god, like
That sounds
they
like a
torture them
damn.
so
That
much.
sounds like a really good show.
Yeah, and they go out into this
Man.
other room, and there's just like a table of sandwiches, and they're just scoffing these sandwiches down as fast as they can. Like they're so hungry. It's like,
Whoa.
oh my god. It's pretty top quality reality TV. Just torturing people basically. And the winners of that series were the Paralympian and Rudimental. The Paralympian, she was fine. She didn't break at all throughout the entire show.
Nice.
Supposedly, she was fine in the final episode. And Rudimental was clearly like on the edge of his rope. He burst into tears when they told him he'd won.
Wow.
It's great. it's
Wow. So what?
I love
It's
it.
the logic of. So surely, as soon as you tell the enemy the truth, they kill you anyway, right?
I mean, they give the impression that isn't what happens in real life. That if you're cooperative enough, you've got to like drip feed them information. That's what they say. It's like about finding the balance, where you've got to give them enough that you're useful, but not enough that they just murder you, basically.
That is
I don't know.
horrific.
Maybe there's situations where they would release you if you'd helped them enough. I don't know that much, Jamie. I
That's so
just like
interesting.
seeing the people get
No. I'm
hosed
just
down
interested in
with
it.
freezing water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like an interesting show. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Some fun schlock right there. What have you been playing, Jamie?
So, I'm currently having to remind myself. I had a game. I've done a bad job. Usually, I have a nice list in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm real ready for you. Okay, I can tell you. I'll tell you a little bit of what I've been playing.
Yeah.
I've been playing just briefly a small game
Yeah.
found on Reddit. Really cool sounding guy. It's called View from Below.
Yeah.
Super tiny game.
Weenie.
Apparently completely unheard of based on the number of Steam reviews there are.
Oh yeah.
But like, I'm surprised. I think it's actually pretty decent. There are like some absolutely dreadful games on Steam that
Yeah.
they get terrible reviews, but loads of people buy it.
Yeah.
This game, it's just pretty good.
Is this just confirm? This is the Undertale-esque clone.
It
You
is.
did a video on.
It is. So it's like it is Undertale. It like the game starts off and it's like scene by scene a clone of Undertale. Like they don't even. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not subtle about it.
Yeah.
But the game does actually relatively quickly start to become its own thing.
Yeah.
Like the combats, there's no like in Undertale you can talk monsters out of battling you.
Yeah.
In this game you can't do that. But
Okay.
in return though, the battle system's a lot deeper. There's a lot more
Okay.
to it than Undertale.
That's cool.
It's still a simple game. And Undertale's a very simple game.
Yeah.
This is still a simple game, but
It still warrants its own existence.
the overworld, whilst the monster design and the monster design is like pretty safe compared to the like completely bizarre stuff in Undertale.
Yeah.
It's like all very well done. The overworld's really pretty, I think.
Oh, yeah?
It's actually a lot better than Undertale.
Mm.
It's just quite a pleasant surprise, really. I wasn't sure what to expect. It looked kind of cool from the trailer, and I was
It's
really
always nice to
surprised.
find a hidden gem.
Yeah, it's like a genuine hidden gem here. Like I really expected it to be like I don't know. I didn't. Not bad. It looked really good from the trailer. I was expecting it to be way more popular, I guess I should say,
Yeah.
than it actually is.
Hmm.
So yeah, pretty cool.
Very nice.
I've also this isn't a game, uh,
Interesting.
but I've been playing around with Steam Remote Play
Oh.
and like kind of blowing my mind a bit.
Yeah.
I just last week I think it was, or maybe the week before, I mentioned how I played Man of Medan and I streamed it to my TV,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
I gave it a go streaming to my phone as well through 4G,
Yeah.
and it worked. It was really good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it got me thinking. Like, if I wouldn't play a game like that on my phone because it was just a bit too small for me.
Yeah.
But if I got, if you get like a relatively cheap tablet, and then hook it up with like a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, you've got like a pretty damn decent portable system there.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Like, I was surprised by how playable it was actually.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing Tomb Raider on it, and it was like there was definitely input lag, but it wasn't. It wasn't unplayable at all. It was actually It was pretty decent.
That's solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could go to Times Square, and you could beam it onto one of the massive screens.
How amazing would that be? Oh, actually, you couldn't though, because the have you seen like how horrendous the input latency and also the frame rate of those screens are? Like, you'd never be able to play.
You're telling me that isn't a viable option?
You could play it in the cinema.
That would be pretty tight.
What about you?
Let's do that. I'm gonna briefly say that I've still been playing Spider-Man, which I know I talked about last week, but it's so good, and I really want you to get it, even though I know you won't. It's so good. It's really good. I kind of thought I was near the end, and I was a bit bummed out about that, because I kind of went through the motions of there's a new villain, there's some attacks, blah blah blah, kind of a mystery around it. It's revealed who the villain is. You thought he was a good guy, but now he's a bad guy. You try and kind of bring him back to the good side. You catch him, send him away, more attacks and stuff, blah blah blah. Game's done.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's suddenly like, oh no, that was just like the opening act. Now there's like the main story. I'm like, oh wow, there's quite a bit more coming, and I hope at least there's a lot more coming. It's a really weird story structure for a game, but I'm loving it, and it was a really cool surprise what happened. I loved it a lot. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I've avoided looking into this game at all for the past like 5 years, because it's all been a cool surprise. I won't tell you what any of the kind of story spoilers are. It's stuff I was also expecting to happen, but I was increasingly thinking maybe this is just going to be a tiny side mission or DLC or set up for a sequel or something. But then it's like, oh no, it's happening in this game. That's cool. It's really good. I'm loving it a lot. One thing I'm really hoping for, which hasn't happened yet, you play as Miles Morales as just normal 15-year-old teenager Miles Morales.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping we see a Miles Morales origin story where he gets powers in this game. But that might be too much to ask for. But I would love it if that happens, and if you can team up with him, that'd be really cool.
I feel like that's going to happen, isn't it?
I hope.
That sounds pretty likely, I say.
There's 3 DLCs, which I'm pretty convinced I'm going to end up buying after I finish the game. It's a lot of fun. It manages really well. Or, I mean, it doesn't. I guess it's me doing it. But the kind of pacing between the side missions and the main mission, I always struggle with that in games where I'll either leave the main story for ages and ages and just never do it, like I always did with Skyrim, because there's so much other stuff to do. Or I just blaze through the main story, and then I've got all these side missions to do, which I always do in like the Batman Arkham games. But I've really managed to kind of balance them very well, and I feel like the game's kind of partly responsible for that, because I think it just does a good job at keeping the side missions interesting enough, but not too long that you kind of get dragged away from the main story, and they're kind of dotted around the map in a good way. It's good. I'm loving it.
That's cool. It's interesting you said about Batman, because I think Batman is debatable, really, but I feel like I had more fun with the side missions than I did with the main game.
That's interesting, because I would say the opposite.
Interesting. Okay. I wasn't too fussed about Batman overall, actually.
Which one?
I've only played Arkham City, actually.
That's interesting, because that's a hot take that I've never heard. I love the Arkham games, although Arkham Knight, just as everyone always says, far too focused on the Batmobile, which massively, it felt like a far worse game because of that. Arkham City, I do love the side missions. In fact, I would probably agree with you that I think the side missions themselves are probably more fun than the main missions. But I just love the story and the characters in Arkham City. Like, when I'm playing it, I just want to get to those next bits. So I think I always just blaze through the story.
Obviously, the characters and stuff are awesome. The world's awesome. And even the gameplay that I thought was awesome, very unique. But I mean, the combat wasn't, but the stealth bits were. I
mean, the free flow combat was pretty innovative.
There was something about it. It was something about it for me. It felt a bit. It was definitely over too soon for me.
Yeah, it was a lot shorter than Arkham Asylum.
And it wasn't. I don't want to say. I guess it just wasn't what I was expecting it to be. It wasn't as open as I was expecting it to be, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with more linear games, but
yeah,
I think I was expecting it to be more open than it was.
Yeah,
it's actually quite small. Like, in terms of, you're quite restricted where you go, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. I always thought I preferred Arkham City to Arkham Asylum, but after replaying them recently, I realised I do prefer Arkham Asylum. It's still a really great game. I absolutely love the whole, like, I guess you'd call it the first act of Arkham City. I just think there's so many phenomenal moments. It's really good.
Oh, there's no doubt. I've got some, like, that game has some intensely good scenes in it, like individual scenes that I remember very, very clearly. So
I mean, Mark Hamill's Joker will always be one of my favourites.
Mark Hamill's Joker is fantastic. Yeah.
Just when my favourite bit, when Batman says, "So it was all a lie. There's nothing wrong with you," and then he says, "Oh, you of all people should know that's plenty wrong with me," and he like leans into the camera and you see his messed up face. Okay, you know the worst thing about Arkham Knight.
Go
on. This is potentially a continuation of a conversation we were having about fan theories, kind of somewhat ruining actual things. So, at the end of Arkham City, don't know if you remember this, you're fighting with Clayface.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
I remember that. I remember the game quite well, to be fair.
You have the antidote for the disease in your hand, and then you get knocked out, and Batman passes out, and then he wakes up, and the antidote is in the other hand, and then you like fight Joker again, and then you drop it, and it smashes on the ground, and Joker dies.
Yeah.
So there was a fan theory going around that the Joker had taken the antidote, put it back in your wrong hand, and then at the end, that was Clayface who died, and he'd switched out, and the Joker was still alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, that makes perfect sense. Like I'm not a big fan of twists where you think characters die but they're actually still alive.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought no, that's really reasonable.
I mean,
It
that
seems
fits
like
Joker
a
as well, doesn't it?
glaring thing that it's in his wrong hand. Like it seems like it could be an obvious setup, and also it's something the Joker would do, and it'd be a cool reveal. To the point where I was so convinced it was going to happen, and then it didn't. They just put the antidote in Batman's wrong hand when he wakes up. I was like, no.
Oh no! What happens then? Because I thought Joker comes back in the third one. Does he?
No, I don't think he does.
Does he not?
Does
I
he?
mean, I haven't played it, so
I mean, now I've got to Google that because you're throwing me off, but I'm pretty certain he doesn't.
I must be wrong then.
No, the third one is just...
Oh, okay. He's dead. He is actually dead. Yeah.
Yeah. You threw me off then. I was like, wait, did the fan theory come true? And I just
Although it's
forgot.
cool, I do actually quite like how they just kill the Joker.
I do like that, but I think it would have been better if they'd killed him at the end of the third one.
Sure.
It would have been kind of cool to see the Joker kind of interacting with the Arkham Knight or manipulating him in game.
Who is the Arkham Knight? Is it Robin?
It's one of the old Robins. Is it
Right, yeah.
Tim Drake? I can't remember which one.
I
think
haven't
it's Tim
actually
Drake.
played it, but I did
Spoilers
like it
for Arkham
reading
Knight.
a while ago. Too late.
Yeah.
Rip.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, to be honest. It's Robin. Yeah. Yeah, I know that's one of those stupid things where it's like just someone makes a fan theory and like it must be true, but this is like the singular case where I really had that. I was like, oh, that's going to be it, and it's going to be amazing. And I think in this case, I think it would have been an improvement over what we got.
Yeah.
I mean, the main improvement would have been just making the game better, having better world design, not focusing so much on the Batmobile.
Yeah. I say the Batman games, just well, the game I played just didn't gel with me. And based on what I know of the other games, I think they're probably quite similar. So
I mean,
I don't
it's
think
still one of my favourite trilogies, even with Arkham City disappointing me.
yeah.
Arkham Knight disappointing me, and Arkham Origins is really great as well.
Yeah, I feel like that got shafted a bit for not being part of the true trilogy, but yeah. I've
often seen them compared to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which is a perfect comparison, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Although I do prefer Arkham Asylum to Arkham City, but I can see why you would prefer Arkham City to Arkham Asylum. Although I guess you might prefer Batman Begins to Dark Knight. I just think that's not a very common opinion to have.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah,
that's a lot more. I think Dark Knight is widely accepted to be
the best one,
the pinnacle. Yeah,
or one of the greatest movies.
One of the greatest movies of all time. Like full stop. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great film.
Which is why I'm excited for Tenet so much.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan can do no wrong.
I'm also excited for The Batman.
Yep.
Should we go on to a little discussion, James? A quick little one.
We could do a quick little one. What have you got in mind?
So I saw earlier,
Batman
just
related.
on the topic of Batman and The Batman. I saw earlier someone had made some concept art of Johnny Depp as the Joker. And
Right.
In the new Batman film, it looks very cool. I thought I can see him in that role, especially now Hollywood has accepted him yet again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it said about there's been a few names have been thrown around about who could be cool ones. Willem Dafoe is a common one. Willem Dafoe, he'd be a great Joker. He could do a lot of Batman villains. He'd be a good Mad Hatter.
I'd say Willem
good
Dafoe.
Riddler, maybe.
I wouldn't want him to be Joker. You know.
Yeah, I think you said this before. Did you say you would want him to be Mad Hatter?
Well, I think Mad Hatter would be better for him. Kind of. I know it would go against a lot of the traits of the character, but I could see Penguin as well, you know. Like an alternative take on the Penguin.
Well, you know who's playing the Penguin in this iteration of
I
the
can't
Batman?
remember. Let's have a
It's
look.
Colin Farrell, so it's going to be a very different interpretation of the Penguin anyway.
Very different. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think they're giving him a bit of a bigger nose, but yeah, I mean this is definitely going for a more kind of gritty, realistic Batman. I mean, I know every iteration of Batman is a different iteration,
I'm
but
so excited for this.
I'm actually excited. It's just A22. Is it A24 or A22? How have I forgotten that?
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was
It's
21.
It's A24, so I'm a clown because I love A24. But anyway, it just feels like A24's Batman. You've got Robin Pattinson as Batman, you've got Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Colin Farrell Penguin, Paul Dano Riddler, Andy Serkis as Alfred, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, Peter Sarsgaard as Jill Coulson,
You know,
John Turturro as Carmine Falcone.
I really hope
I'm hype.
that they. I kind of just want this to be a trilogy. I want it to be good,
Yeah.
and then I want them to make it into a trilogy,
Yeah.
and then be done with it, like they did with Christopher Nolan, because that formula just seems to work perfectly.
I half want that, but at the same time, I feel like you could do so many Batman films with this, I guess, more indie cast, and do something very different with it. Just as long as it's all good. Like, I would love to see so many. I mean, Batman's got just the best rogues gallery.
Clearly,
You could just do
Jack,
so many
if-
villains that we haven't seen on the big screen before.
Obviously.
In really cool ways.
if they could somehow guarantee the quality was the same throughout,
Yeah.
I would have been happily watching Christopher Nolan's Batman, not like number 9,
Yeah.
right now in the
Yeah.
cinema. Like that universe was amazing,
Yeah.
but it ended correctly. Like it didn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah.
I
Which
feel
I
like-
think it probably would have.
It would have done. It would have done, because how many times can a more realistic take of Batman? How many times can all
Yeah.
these crazy world-ending things, like, because the last one kind of was a crazy world-ending thing. It was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, it was pretty
It's
high
like-
stakes. You don't want to go too much higher.
No.
Yeah, yeah. I think this one could go on longer just because it's a younger take on Batman, and I'm thinking more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, that's had a relatively consistent quality for a long time, and they've told a lot of stories with it. So I think you could do it. Obviously, I'm hoping this is going to be better than most, if not all, Marvel Cinematic Universe films, at least from a purely technical movie-making standpoint.
Do you think they will make this completely separate to the Joker then?
I think they will.
I think they should, for sure.
I think there's a minimal chance they won't, but I don't think they would. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix has expressed his disinterest in it being connected to anything else, any sequels or anything.
Yeah.
And I just I feel like it would be its own thing. Just the people involved. I think it's going to be self-contained. I think DC are really just pushing self-contained stories. I think it might just be one film, and to be honest, I would be happy with that. It's just the inner me wanting loads of this.
I actually think that the chances are it's going to be a
A
one-off.
single, yeah. I think that will happen. I just love the idea of all these really different, really talented cast members playing different Batman villains
I
and just
don't
general Batman characters. I think it
just
could be
don't
really, really cool.
want it to be. I really don't want it to be one movie, man. Oh, that's such a shame, because like they've got. Okay, I'm not being funny, but I'm looking at the cast now. It definitely could be. Well, the only enemies are the Penguin and the Riddler. So
And,
like,
Capone.
what's that?
Not Capone, I'm thinking of Al Capone. What's his name? Who's John Turturro playing?
Carmine Falcone.
Falcone, that's it.
Yeah, but that's not. Okay, well, but I can see how all these characters can be in a single movie, whereas. But at the same time, they could do the same thing that they kind of did with the Christopher Nolan trilogy,
Mm.
where like they kind of interweaved. So there's no doubt that the Joker would have been in the third movie, in some sense, if
Yeah,
it wasn't for what
sure.
happened, because the Scarecrow makes an appearance
Yeah, I
in
was
all
gonna
three
say Cillian
movies,
Murphy always comes back. Yeah,
and it's great because it's like, oh cool, we're like, it's not like villain of the week. It's like,
yeah,
no, there's lasting consequences of this absolute madman.
yeah,
Of course he's going to still be around. It's great.
yeah. Yeah, I just think the casting's genius. Paul Dano as Riddler, I absolutely love.
That is
Um,
going to be really good.
yeah, and it's just seeing that, I just think, oh man, it really just gets you thinking, who could play this person? Another name that's been thrown out there for the Joker is Macaulay Culkin. Now that is a creative one.
That is a bloody good shout, actually.
Yeah.
But would you?
I don't know how
don't
good
know
an
what-
actor he is now, but
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I could totally see that, but at the same time, it might happen, and then, like, yeah, we all find out. Oh, he's actually doesn't act anywhere near what we thought he was going to act like.
that's the thing. Like, I mean, the only thing I know Macaulay Culkin from is Home Alone. I mean, he's been in other things.
Do we?
Oh, he
Do
was
we
in Uncle
need?
Buck, My Girl.
Do we really
stuff.
need
I've
the
seen
Joker
things.
in this movie, though?
I hope we don't have a Joker in this movie. I
No.
wouldn't mind there being ones in others. I think the villains they got at the moment is good. I think Falcone is going to be his usual role seems to be he's the mob boss at the beginning who's kind of, you know, there's all this underlying corruption in Gotham that leads to Batman becoming Batman, and he always takes down the mob bosses first, like Falcone and Carmine or whatever his name is. No, he is. What's the other mob boss? Falcone and whatever the other guy is called, Maroni or something.
Can't remember.
I think that'll be his role. He'll be like the gateway into villains, and then you'll start getting the more out there ones like Riddler and Penguin start emerging alongside Batman.
Because Penguin is like a mob boss,
Yeah,
basically, just incredibly extravagant.
yeah. He's not too out there as far as they go.
No,
I mean, Riddler's not really either. He's just kind of a crazy guy that does riddles, but then his riddles
No,
are always so
Riddler-
ridiculous.
I'll say Riddler is pretty out there. I mean,
Yeah, I guess he
if
is.
we're ignoring supernatural,
That's okay. Yeah, I meant in terms of like superpowers. Like you can do a realistic Riddler pretty easy.
oh, okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd
But
like,
yeah,
I'd love to see.
he's not a villain you would see in the real world.
Okay, I've changed my mind a bit. I want to
Yeah?
see as many films as it takes to get all of the A-list Batman villains
Yeah.
into a realistic setting,
Yeah.
because there are big famous villains that weren't in the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Poison Ivy.
Penguin.
Poison Ivy
Yeah.
would be so sick, I think, because it
Yeah.
would be like it wouldn't be some crazy plant lady with tentacles. It would be
She would
just
just
like
be a bioterrorist.
exactly. It'd be a bioterrorist, but like
She'd be Thanos.
you could see them doing a really cool job with that,
Yeah.
and then like I don't know, you know,
Yeah, she would just be a crazed environmentalist that wants to take
Yeah.
out humanity because we're destroying the planet.
and I can see like they do like something silly, like a cool nod to the comics, like she dies and like her skin turns like a slight tinge of green or something, like I don't know, I want to see what they can do with, or like Solomon Grundy, like how they're going to get him in. I don't know, like get all these crazy
Just creative
characters.
ways around it.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
Bane is like totally crazy in the comics, but they completely changed him really for
Yeah, he doesn't inject himself with venom, which they
No.
could have done. They could have made him just drugged up on steroids or something.
yeah. Although the mask he wears, they kind of semi say that like it's like really clamped on. It kind of it hurts so much that it's like making him more violent or something, don't they?
Yeah.
something like that.
Something like that. You know what else I wouldn't massively mind?
What's that?
If they did go like supernatural with it, because we've like never had that in a Batman film. Well, that's a complete
No,
lie. In the past 20 years,
I would
obviously
say
we didn't need any made 90s and prior. But
no. I'm alright actually.
you just want realism.
I do. I feel like
Fair enough.
I've got my fill of that from Marvel.
I was kind of thinking that, but at the same time, like, I feel like I haven't got that with Batman. I don't think they will. I mean, this is going to be a realistic Batman take, I'm certain. But I wouldn't mind a slight bit. Give it some hokey cokey sciencey explanation.
We've just had Justice League and
Yeah,
Suicide Squad.
I don't
And
really
Suicide
count
Squad, they
any of
do
those.
have like crazy, stupid powers.
Yeah, like the man who can climb anything.
The most important character in that entire movie. And also Boomerang,
Oh man.
who I think like throws a boomerang once.
What about? Oh, but he can take on metahumans because he
Yeah.
got arrested by Flash. He lived to tell the tale because Flash doesn't kill people. What about Harley Quinn, otherwise known as Woman with Bat?
Oh,
This is going to
Harley
turn
Quinn.
into a Suicide Squad discussion, so let's stop there.
No, I'm saying no. We won't talk about Suicide Squad in detail,
No.
but like we've had that. I can't remember the name. The witch, whatever.
Enchantress.
That's like you can't get more supernatural than that. That was recent.
Yeah, but that was terrible, and I want to see it done well.
Exactly. I don't want to see it done because it's terrible.
It's not always terrible. They just did it bad. They could do it well.
I've seen
Like the Batman Arkham games, they're still dark and gritty, but they've got like unrealistic superpowers.
I hear you, and
Yep.
usually I'd be like totally with you on this argument, but
Yep.
I just don't want to see that right now. I still want realistic Batman.
No, in fairness, I do kind of agree with you. I'm kind of just being argumentative for the sake of it.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah, I'm just having a little debate, but I think it would be interesting to see that a bit different. But I do think it's immediately more immersive if I can imagine that Batman could exist in real life. I feel like Marvel got away with it by easing you in a bit. Like, I know obviously Iron Man is unrealistic, but it's at least like science fiction rather than just straight up fantasy.
Oh, Marvel's great because
And it doesn't take itself seriously, obviously.
yeah, like obviously they've gone into they've definitely gone firmly into the realm of the magical now. But
Yeah, but they didn't start with Doctor Strange and Guardians of the
Technically-
Galaxy. They started with
yeah, but like
I did start with
technically
Thor.
you could look at all the things and say, well, actually that's kind of technology.
or
I think-
space.
The only exception is Doctor Strange, which
Yeah.
is pretty much 100% magic. But
Yeah.
that's okay though. I don't know. That's Marvel, and that's what I expect and
Yeah.
want from that. Whereas Batman has such a good collection of villains that aren't magical
Mm.
that, and Batman himself isn't magical,
Mm.
and I kind of like that. I kind of like it being a bit more grounded. It's
I hear you.
and also like
I
fearing
like the
for
idea of
his
them-
life as well. I don't think I'm pretty sure I've never feared for a single character's life in any Marvel movie, like ever. Whereas
I mean-
Batman, it's like
Maybe in like Endgame, but yeah.
it's kind of like, all right, obviously they're not going to kill Batman within the first half an hour of the movie, but
Yeah.
you're kind of watching it like, ooh, you know, he almost died there because he's just
Yeah.
a guy.
Yeah. He's just R-Pats. And yeah, I do like the idea of them kind of having creative workarounds of the unrealistic villains, trying to make them into a grounded, realistic setting.
I can't remember any off the top of my head. Isn't there like a croc?
Killer Croc.
That's it, Killer Croc.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, that's Spider Man, isn't it?
No, Killer Croc. He's
Killer Croc's
Batman.
Batman.
You're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of the Lizard.
that's
He's
it. That's
Spider
it.
Man.
Yeah, Killer Croc. I'm just trying to think of like how absurd it can get. It's like Killer Croc could be like that's another thing I'd quite like to see. Is them having like meme characters. So have like Killer Croc, but
Yeah.
it's like a throwaway like zookeeper character, and you like in the background on like some news bulletin you see like this crazy like weird zookeeper who's been arrested and he calls himself Killer Croc, and you never see him again.
Yeah.
It's just like confirmation that Killer Croc also exists in this universe.
See, Killer Croc's one of those characters where he heavily ranges. Sometimes he's just a strong man with a skin condition,
In the
and
sewers.
sometimes he's a 10 foot tall crocodile. Like
Yeah.
in the comics, he goes wildly different directions. So you could do him realistically. I want to see Calendar Man. Do you know Calendar Man?
I don't.
So he wears like he wears a costume that looks like just post-it notes with like, you know, there's like post-it note calendars where every day it's got
Yeah.
the date and you peel it off to reveal the next day. He just kind of wears that, and he's like bald and has a cape, and then he just does things on holidays, like he'll blow up a like church on Christmas or something, just stuff like that.
Man.
And that's his whole thing. Like, oh, it's Easter, Calendar Man time.
You know the better villain, don't you?
Hit me.
Condiment King.
Condiment King.
Condiment King is the best DC villain.
I don't think you can top Condiment King. He's
No.
got to be up there.
Like he's actual like full on meme. Like there's nothing there's nothing
Yeah,
good
he's
about his
ridiculous.
character. He is just now imagine because the Calendar Man, he's just a terrorist, right? But
Yeah.
Condiment King, can you imagine Condiment King? Like, I don't know. Like,
In Matt Reeves' Batman.
like Batman,
Okay,
like
I'm just
Bruce Wayne
saying,
goes into
the
like
cookies are listening. I searched
Oh, no.
Con and Condiment King is the first thing that came up.
That's so funny. That's a bit weird, actually.
Actually, granted, I do have 3 tabs open that are Batman related, but still, that's weird.
I just either have like just this restaurant on the side that's called Condiment King, and
Yeah, that's a good shout.
like, yeah, that'd be really fun.
Fun
I just
Easter eggs.
I live for stuff like that. I love watching a movie and being like, just seeing a nod like that. I
You
love
love
it.
Easter eggs.
I think we need to end this podcast, Jack.
We should dress as Condiment King for Comic Con. We should end
know,
this
that's
podcast.
Such a good
Can
shout.
I say one quick thing about Calendar Man?
Of course.
In Arkham City, he was in a prison cell, I think, in like the courthouse, and if you went to him on certain days of the year, he would give you special lines of dialogue related to it. Pretty fun.
Huh.
I think there was achievements related to it. And that's Sandbox. And this is Katana. She's got my back.